I think one of my subscribers sent me the story, but I can't remember exactly who it was. But shout out to them if they're out there listening to this video. But I actually saw it again when I was scrolling through my timeline. And it was a caption that one of my followers on Twitter actually said that actually relates to a video I just did about Heidi Klum. If you remember, Heidi Klum recently came out and said that being called a white woman was basically a slur, so to speak. And then Chris Crazy House, or Black Up India 2, did a video talking about how white women equated the word Becky as being a slur. Well, now we're going into this other thing right here. And this is actually a terminology that has just started to gain some steam. And I think it came out last year. But I believe it was mostly palm-colored individuals, mainly palm-colored males, who came up with this terminology called okay boomer, which is basically them making fun of those born in the baby boomer generation, when I guess this is their dig at people born around that time, or people of at an older age, I should say. I guess to try to shut down their argument whenever they say something they don't agree with. And I think it's mainly millennials that came up with it. It has to be. Which is people from my generation. But I can honestly say I have not heard a black person use the terminology okay boomer. It's mainly come from the palm colored sector. But that brings us into this story right here. So this guy in this picture you see, his name is Peter Gade, and he's a professor in Oklahoma. And basically what happened was he ended up apologizing because he said the N-word. But what he tried to do was equate it to that okay boomer thing. That terminology, okay boomer. And I'm sitting here like, here we go again. They do any and everything to try to equate whatever word they can to the N-word, and none of them hold any weight. Saying okay boomer is not going to get as nearly as much traction as someone calling someone the N-word would. But they want it to be a slur so bad. They want to be oppressed so badly. Like, it gets redundant after a while. It's been past that, and it's pathetic, and it looks like they're reaching. As a matter of fact, it doesn't look, they are reaching. I thought the Becky thing was bad. This is worse. So now being called a boomer is the same thing as being called the N-word. Somebody out there, please help me make it make sense. The article reads, the University of Oklahoma admonished a professor after he tried to compare a popular put down with a racial slur in a journalism class Tuesday. Peter Gade, who has been on the school's faculty since 1998, was responding to a student who suggested that journalists need to keep up with the younger generations, according to the university student newspaper, the OU Daily. Gade is alleged to have told the student that it was essentially the same as telling him, okay, boomer. Calling someone a boomer is like calling someone a N. Now, he didn't even say N-word. He said the whole word. And that's another thing. It's like a double-edged sword for two reasons. One, they want an excuse to say the word like this guy did. And two, they want an excuse to actually, or they want a reason, or try to find a reason to equate this word with something else, which this guy also did. So he used the double-edged sword in this scenario. Molly Cruz, an assistant culture editor for the newspaper, responded in class that Gade should not use the word, she said to NBC News Wednesday. I just told him that I didn't think he should be using that word, and I asked him if he thought that elderly people had been as oppressed in our society as black people have been, Cruz, a 21-year-old senior, said. The course Journalism, Ethics, and Democracy, that lets you know all it needs to know right there, is a required capstone course that all journalism majors need to take in order to graduate, she said. Cruz, who does not identify as a student of color, noted that the class of about 20 to 30 students has a number of minority students enrolled in the course. I think it's important for readers to realize that this is a big deal to us as students, that we're not just being snowflakes, quote unquote, Cruz told the NBC News. Let me back up. This is a number of minority students. And then it said not a person of color, so that lets us know that she's a palm colored female. But when they say minority, I would like to know exactly who break that down, because, you know, when they say minority, that can be just about anybody that's non-white. She says every student deserves to feel safe in their classrooms, and students of color did not get that opportunity yesterday. So I'm only assuming that some of the people in there have to be black. The university senior said that while the incident has made her more grateful for other professors who have promoted diversity in her years at the school, she was also not surprised by the incident. It's not a very diverse department, and journalism is not a very diverse field, so this is a structural problem that really needs to change. A group of students met with the 3 deans of the Gaylord College of Journalism and Mass Communications about 30 minutes after the Tuesday class ended to speak about possible solutions. The deans will also attend class on Thursday without Gabe present to speak to the rest of the class. I can't speak for all the students, but I know a lot of them aren't comfortable receiving grace from him, especially after this. The university's interim president, Joseph Haraj Jr., said Gabe's comments failed to meet the school's standard of understanding and tolerance. While the professor's comments are protected by the First Amendment and academic freedom, his comment and word choice are fundamentally offensive and wrong. The use of the most offensive word by a person in a position of authority hurt and minimized those in the classroom and beyond. The OU Daily, some of whose staff members were present in Gade's class, reported that students who stayed in class after it ended said Gade told the class he was sorry if he offended anyone. That's the other thing. That is one of those backhanded apologies I hate, when they say, I'm sorry if I offended anyone. Of course you offended people, because one, you insulted their intelligence by trying to say okay boomer was equal to being called the N-word. Let's put to the side that you actually said the word, but you tried to insult people's intelligence by saying that they were the same. If anybody knows me, and I've said it many times on my channel, insulting my intelligence is one of the easiest ways to piss me off and probably damn near cuss you out. Gade, who did not respond to a request for comment from NBC News, sent an apology email to his class Tuesday night. Why send an email? Why not just go in front of your class, put your big boy pants on, and go and apologize in person? The email, because you didn't say or called or said the N-word through an email or a text. You said it through your mouth to your class. I always feel like if you're going to give an apology, you need to give it in the same way that you did when you said the action. And you said the action in person. The professor wrote that he made an inexcusable mistake, according to a copy of the email provided to NBC News. Well, the way he said it, it doesn't sound like a mistake to me. I was wrong. I am sorry, he wrote. I realize the word is hurtful and infuses the racial divisions of our country, past and present. Use of the word is inappropriate in any, especially educational settings. As NBC News reported in October, younger generations have adopted the phrase "okay boomer" to push back at older generations, who some of them feel condescend to teenagers and young adults. The phrase is not exclusively used against those in the baby boomer generation, but more generally against those who might be expressing closed-minded opinions. You know what? Now that they put it that way, they're right. Because I've actually seen, when I first saw the terminology, when they said "okay boomer," I already kind of knew without looking up what they were actually saying, who they were targeting. Because I'm like, boomer, okay, baby boomer generation. But when they add on that it's not just necessarily used against the baby boomer generation, but anyone who doesn't agree with them, then that means let's just put it this way: that whole terminology is very petty. And I have seen it a lot on Twitter, but like I've said, I have not seen anybody outside of the palm color sector, especially with the males, use that terminology. I have yet to see a black person that I know use that terminology or that phrase yet. And the phrase, like I said, has been out for a few months now. It isn't intended in the malicious way that Snowflake, quote unquote, is aimed at younger generations, Hannah Hill, age 20, said at the time. It's a funny way the younger people can laugh off the entitlement of some baby boomers. It is a humorous way to say, okay, whatever, and move on with our lives. And that's exactly what it means when she says, okay, whatever. Equate this to the N-word. Like I said, many of them just want to find a way to be quote unquote oppressed but then try to tell us to not talk about race all the damn time, but they'll try to find something in their little lexicon to equate race to it, but do it off of the backs of our oppression. Somebody out there, please help me make it make sense. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure to follow me on Twitter if you haven't done so already. Have the notifications turned on, and I will talk to you in the next one.